It's 6:01 in Minneapolis on a scorching hot summer afternoon. Crossing the I-35 bridge is an everyday commute for thousands of drivers, like Lindsay Walsh.
I had the air conditioned full blast, my windows were up so that I could stay as cool as possible.
Approaching from the other direction, businessman Andy Gainan.
I grew up in South Minneapolis, probably about 5 miles away from the 35W bridge. I crossed it on average during the week about 4 or 5 times. I knew the bridge was going to be busy because that's considered rush hour in Minneapolis at that time of day. It's probably the worst time to be driving in downtown Minneapolis.
The I-35 bridge runs north-south across the Mississippi. Opened in 1967, it's one of the busiest in Minnesota. A workhorse built for punishment, the I-35 is a truss bridge. Made of steel beams joined together to form 2 large trusses resting on 4 concrete piers. It's a strong load-bearing bridge that carries 8 lanes of interstate traffic. What nobody knows is that the bridge is fatally weakened, and each extra car is taking it closer to catastrophic collapse.
I am creeping forward just like car length by car length. I got to probably about the middle of the bridge, and there was a really loud clank.
I could hear the actual sounds of failure, mechanical failure, loud, cracks and breaks. I'm thinking, this isn't good. I've got to get off the bridge.
But time runs out for the drivers on the bridge. The bridge collapses, taking 111 vehicles with it.
It's as though someone has just kicked the legs out from a table and the whole thing just drops down into the river below.
Over 10,000 tons of steel and 1,000 feet of bridge come crashing down into the water.
You are waiting for this monster, this wave of concrete to come and take your life.
Because my car was nosediving, the water just came up through the engine and through the ventilation system and right up into the cabin of my car. So by the time the car actually settled and stopped moving, I was drowning.
I thought that was it, for sure.
Shocked by multiple casualties, Minneapolis confronts one of the deadliest bridge collapses in U.S. history.
It looks like something out of a disaster movie.
But what caused it, and how?
Was it terrorism? Was it heavy loads? Was it corrosion? You just have all these questions that you want to try to answer to find out why it actually did come down.
In June 2003, engineers are carrying out a routine inspection on the bridge when they notice something disturbing. At a pair of joints called U10 East and U10 West, they see the steel plates holding the bridge together are bending. Why wasn't this clue seen before?
In the structural engineer's psyche, the joint is always stronger than the beam. So you don't have to check gusset plates because they're always much stronger than the elements, right? So you don't look at them.
They photograph the bent plates, but these warning signs are somehow ignored because the engineers believe they're unbreakable.
Gusset plates don't fail. So seeing a gusset plate bowed, it may have been determined that maybe it was during erection or something that it got bent a little bit.
The engineers say it's probably not a big deal because it's been there for so long. We'll deal with it further down the road.
A critical chance to repair the faults is missed. 4 years before the bridge ultimately fails. But miss a warning sign, however small, and it can have dire consequences. With just 3 hours to disaster, a construction crew, loaded with materials and equipment, heads onto the bridge to make routine repairs.
They start to stockpile construction equipment and gravel on the surface of the road deck. Unfortunately, they've placed this load right on top of the joint at U10.
The exact place where the plates are bending to breaking point.
It's a very unfortunate occurrence because you have all of this additional load now concentrated directly on top of the weakest spot in the bridge.
Over 300 tons of equipment, including cement trucks and heavy machinery, is now stacked up, and the final blow is on its way.
This is the most weight that this bridge has ever had in its 40 years.
Now the 111th car rolls onto the bridge, and it's the final straw.
I see waves of concrete lifting up cars and dumping some of them over into the river. I'm waiting for it to come to me, and we all go down as one.
My car doesn't actually really stop moving until it lands at the bottom of the Mississippi. I was drowning. I had to get out of my car, or that would be where I died. I knew that my time was absolutely running out. And I kicked and I swam and I surfaced. A construction worker brought a broom handle to fish me out. I assumed that I was one of a handful of survivors at best.
Meanwhile, Andy Gainon's car has fallen 50 feet onto an unstable island of concrete. But he stops in his tracks when he sees a bus full of terrified school kids.
I'm hearing people, and the screams from the school bus is what I hear. Holy smokes, I've got to go help.
Keep on screaming. We need help.
A couple seconds later, there's probably 4 or 5 adults. We took the kids off the school bus and handed them down to individuals that were on the river road.
The collapse takes a grim toll. 13 dead, 145 injured. Minneapolis is a city in shock, and a city looking for answers.
I've thought a lot about that. I've thought a lot about who put that concrete there, who measured those gusset plates, who was that inspector who took a picture of that bent gusset plate.
What's the next thing that's going to break? Can I trust anything anymore? How do we make sure it doesn't happen again?
Just 10 weeks after the I-35 was destroyed, construction of a new bridge begins across the Mississippi.
In September 2008, the new I-35 West St. Anthony Falls Bridge opens.
It's a symbol of doing what we can to put the past behind, yet never forgetting the people that were impacted by this and still are impacted by this to this day.
This bridge learns from past mistakes. A state-of-the-art smart bridge with sensors everywhere. So as cars cross, their safety is guaranteed.
The bridge can actually tell the people who are operating it how it's feeling, what kinds of strains and stresses and forces is it being exposed to.
It's built with reinforced concrete. And if one part of the bridge fails, the rest will stay standing. It's a bridge for the 21st century.